Imagine the camera gliding through a dimly lit parking structure before sunrise, the echo of footsteps and the soft hum of a distant city waking up. There it is, the 2026 BMW 735i. Its daytime running lights sketching twin lines of white across polished concrete. We pause, kidney really bolder than the old days but more sculpted than shock value, flanked by slender, high-tech eyes. The paint throws back a cool metallic shimmer. Before the first word is spoken, the car has already started the conversation. Walk with me to the side profile and you'll notice the stance first. It's long, low, and quietly confident, like a tailored suit that doesn't need loud patterns to make a statement. The doors open with that soft, powerful thunk that luxury people obsess over and everyone else notices without knowing why. The frameless mirrors sit like little blades in the airflow, and the subtle chrome touches live where they should, tastefully, sparingly. Wheels fill the arches with a precise, athletic posture. You can tell it's a flagship, but one that still remembers the Autobahn. Slide into the driver's seat and the world changes. The cabin is less a place and more an atmosphere, thickly insulated from the outside, lightly scented with new materials, and bathed in a gentle glow from the light bar that sweeps across the dash and doors. You take it all in, finely grained leather or the sustainable alternatives that feel just as expensive, open-pore wood that's been satin finished to perfection, cool metal switchgear that clicks with watch-like precision. The steering wheel is compact and slightly squared, trimmed in supple leather, with just enough buttons to feel useful and not enough to feel busy. One press of the start button and the 735i breathes to life, the four-cylinder turbo settling into a muted purr that hints at reserve power rather than bragging about it. Out on the road, the first impression is silence, not the kind that feels dead and clinical, but a calm, curated hush. Double-glazed windows, smart acoustic tuning, and an adaptive suspension that reads the pavement in advance combine to turn rough tarmac into a suggestion rather than a sentence. The 735i isn't chasing headline-grabbing horsepower, it's delivering a seamless, confident flow. The turbocharged engine builds torque smoothly, and the transmission is silky, intuitive. It always seems to be in the right gear without calling attention to itself. You lean into the throttle to merge, and the car simply goes. An elastic band of power pulling you forward without drama. Steering is BMW precise, light in the city, gently firming up as speed builds, with a careful sense of road flavor that filters out harshness but leaves in just enough truth to feel engaged. Rear-wheel steering makes U-turns that would frustrate other full-size sedans feel like neat little pirouettes, and on a fast, sweeping road it shortens the car around you, trimming corners with tidy confidence. The brake pedal meets your foot with steady calm. There's no grabby nonsense, just linear control. This is a big car that drives with small car ease, and the 735i nails that balance. Let's talk tech, because the 735i is fluid in it. The curved display arcs toward you in a single pane, seamlessly tying together driver info and infotainment. The graphics are crisp, the fonts are modern, and the response is quick. You can use touch, you can use the iDrive controller, you can use voice that actually understands natural speech. Climate is smart enough that you set it once and forget it. The driver assistance suite works like a courteous co-pilot, adaptive cruise that's smooth rather than rubbery, lane centering that keeps you honest without tugging, and traffic jam features that make commuting feel less like penance and more like progress. It's not here to replace you, it's here to help you arrive less tired, more present. In the back, the 735i turns every ride into a quiet event. The doors open wide to reveal plush seats that recline just enough for comfort without making you vanish into a lounge coma. There's legroom, honest, generous legroom, and the floor is flat enough that the middle seat doesn't feel like exile. Ambient lighting tucks itself along seams and edges, glowing like a boutique hotel lobby at dusk. Optional screens transform the rear into a cinema, but even without the big theater option, passengers get their own controls, their own sense of space, their own bubble of peace. This is where the 7 Series part of the badge does most of its talking. We pull over to a lookout where the road unwinds over a river valley. With the engine off, the car stays alive around us. The light bar shifts hue gently as the sun's angle changes, The audio system holds the final note of a string quartet without sibilance or showboating, and the seats continue their quiet, almost imperceptible massage. You notice the little details, the precision of the stitch lines, the feel of the door pull, the way the cup holders grip just firmly enough. Even the smartphone tray feels like it was measured twice and cut once. It's not just assembly, it's intent. Back on the move, we test the 735i's character in the places many luxury sedans stumble. Broken city streets and quick transitions, the suspension breathes with the road rather than fighting it. Over a series of patched asphalt scars, the body stays composed, never floats, never slaps. Tap the drive mode from comfort to a more dynamic setting and no fireworks, just a slightly tauter posture, a little more alertness in the throttle, a more assertive stance in corners. The same car, two personalities, a diplomat most of the time, an athlete when you ask nicely. Fuel efficiency won't headline a gala dinner, but the 735i's modest engine displacement pays dividends. On a steady highway run, the tachometer naps in the low revs while the car glides, barely sipping. Around town, smart start-stop logic steps in quietly, not with the lurch you remember from a decade ago. For many owners, this balance a big car comfort, sane running costs is exactly the point. At the Cafe Tilde copyright pull-up, the design earns double takes without courting them. The front end has presence from every angle, but the side profile is where the sculpture really works. A crisp shoulder line, a subtle lower contour, a roof that arcs with a light-handed confidence. Around back, the taillights write thin signatures of red, and the trunk line is clean, purposeful. There's no unnecessary ornament, no extra crease. It feels like a design that will age gracefully, the kind that looks even better 5 years from now when the trend chasers start to feel tired. We spend a moment on ergonomics of the quiet hero of long-term ownership. The seat adjusts in about a dozen ways, but each movement has a clear purpose. The headrest meets you where your head actually lies. The armrest is exactly where your elbow wants to be. The pedals align with your hips. The screen sits within reach without triggering shoulder yoga. Eye fatigue doesn't appear because the instrument layout and font weights have been thought through. Even the sun visors are big enough to do a real job. This is the kind of car that rewards months and years, not just test drives. As twilight comes on, we take one last drive through city lights. The adaptive headlights paint the road with precise control, bending into corners and dimming for oncoming traffic like an attentive host. The cabin glows warmly, music soft, the city slipping by in reflections across the hood. You realize this is the 735i's greatest trick. It reframes your day. It makes the routine moments of commuting, errands, late-night airport runs feel a little more cinematic, a little more refined, not with noise, not with theatrics, but with restraint and mastery. There will always be louder cars, faster cars, bigger engines, more screens, but the 2026 BMW 735i isn't trying to win at noise. It's trying to win at experience. The harmony of motion and quiet, of tech and tactility, of status and subtlety. It's the car that respects your time and your taste, the one that trades fireworks for finesse. If you want the distilled essence of what makes a flagship sedan worth having a grace, the comfort, the sense that someone smart obsessed over the details, this is it. You step out, close the door, and the soft thunk echoes again. The city carries on, and for a moment, in the